Really, if like imagine if you had like a fucking scientist who's been like trying to cure cancer and he's got like 55 pages of notes and he's like, okay, all this shit, and then he's like, and then you ask him, how do you fucking have you figured it out? How do you cure cancer? And he's like, give him some Tylenol. Fuck it. He just gives you this answer that's like, no, it's not actually what he's doing, but he'll just give you fucking an answer that what you're looking for, what you would understand essentially. Because if he actually gave you the real answer, it would take so much time to explain it about how he breaks down his own shit, and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? I'm lost. I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, like, giving you the information that I did is not something that I would ever be proud of if you came back and told me, ViBE, your gasless build doesn't work. You told me this, and I'd be like, okay. I can't really explain it. ViBE got a 4.7k Protoss opponent. Nice. Nice. I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Let's get it. ViBE, remember that guy that said you were number 1 in his soul and his soul like 100 times? I do, yeah. It was, how do I not know his name now? What the fuck? It's not Banwich, but for some reason all I'm thinking is Banwich. Yeah, it's Fohammer. Yeah, it was Fohammer. I don't know. I think honestly, did he die? I don't think he died. I think he just got bored. And the reason why he got bored is because it was like 5 or 6 times in a row when he would donate bits. I'd be like, bro, can you stop fucking doing it? Like it's funny, but then you kind of kill the joke when you do it like 50 times in a stream. I asked him to stop like multiple times in a row. Then I think he just eventually just stopped coming to the stream.
ViBE hi.
Yo, what's up? What up, fruit seller? What up, dude? See, like right now, this has changed. Do you want to know why my build's gonna be changed? This is fucking Nexus first. Build's changed. I'm doing a Nexus first reaction. You know what this is? Regardless of tech, I am being greedy as fuck. Regardless of what he makes for tech, I don't give a shit. He has no way to punish me. So if I told you, take gas at 3 minutes, I'm not taking fucking gas at 3 minutes this game. Fuck no. Hell no. I'm being greedy as shit. Yeah, Fruit Seller, thank you so much for the bits. Or the gifted sub. Guys, can we get a ViBE gift in the chat for Fruit Seller? Oh my god. Also, another reaction is injects or creep tumors. I inject if I feel 0 threat. I creep if I feel threatened. These are all the build. Like I said, I'll drop it here. I won't keep talking about it. But the build is so fucking reactionary. Every aspect of this build is reactionary, and it's literally it's hard to explain because it's a judgment call every step of the way. It's like, should I or shouldn't I think this is gonna be scary? He made a sentry and a stalker. You know what? Fuck nope. Fuck legs. I am gonna take gas. Around the same time I would take against Stargate. Yeah. This makes me already think he's going Robo, by the way.
Love your stream ViBE.
And I'm gonna take gas. And Roachhorn's kind of late now. I'm taking it like 10 seconds later than I normally would, because I'm greedy and I'm spending all my larva on drones. And I took gas and against normally when I would take a Stargate. This is not Stargate though. I think this is Robo, but it's fucking Nexus first, so it changes everything again. Thank you very much, Chapo, for the 7-month resub. What's up, dude? Welcome back. Welcome back, Chapo. Hell yeah, dude. But yeah, anyways, I'm just trying to explain why this is hard to explain this build. Because it's judgment calls all the way.
At ViBE I got a shout out from Cyril today on a game I lost. Do I just retire now?
Yeah. That's a hallucination.
Swarm forces under attack.
If a Protoss wants to go Nexus first, and he thinks that's going to be getting him an edge to be greedy. Oh, he has not met Mr. ViBE. I already have 63 drones at 4.5 minutes.
Command unacceptable.
Just so you know, that's what you should be at by 6 minutes. For a standard game. but I do not feel threatened at all.
Swarm forces under attack.
Reactionary, boys. I am already at 67 drones at 5 minutes, and I'm already making roaches. Mass roaches now. I do think this guy is going robo, and I will not be surprised if he pushes me with Sentry Immortal. Or Charge Lot or something. With Immortal. It's going to be something with Immortals. Most likely. And I'm gonna fucking run it over. This game is going to be... Also, since I think he's going robo, I'm going to react to the Spire. And everything I'm saying right now is not going to fucking be the same thing I'm going to do next time I play a Protoss if I do this build again. That's why I really like this build. This build's fucking fun because it has so many levels of depth to it. Because it literally, it's just... Every game I play, it's like, how do I think I want to counter him this time? It changes all the time. There's an Observer following my army. It's 100% robo. Let's make a fucking mutalisk shit right now. And a macro hatch for speedlings. Now, I won't be surprised if I literally win the game with roaches, because I've been so greedy, and I don't think this Protoss will be able to keep up with that. But if he does not die to this roach push, I do think he will die to the Muta follow-up like crazy hard. So, I would say 50% or like a 60% chance I win with roaches, or a 90% chance I win with mutas, or a 10% chance I lose the game. I still could obviously lose. I'm not going to say it's unlosable. But if I like make some stupid ass choices here. But yeah, no, I have a massive lead right now. This game is definitely mine to win already. And I'm almost maxed out at 7 minutes. And we're going to just go pressure his third because I know he has one. Because there's no reason why he shouldn't be attacking. If he didn't have a third, he would have attacked already. So no attack means a third base.
Swarm forces under attack.
Let's break down these gates.
Under attack.
There's the robo. Unit, rather. There's the immortals. Kill the immortals first. Kill the other immortal. Kill that disruptor. And he's gonna die to roaches. The fuck, he has nothing. It's because I was so greedy. GG. And like I said, if I don't kill him with roaches, I have a Spire now. And he went robo. And I'm gonna fuck him up with mutas. Watch. This is why this build... I can't fucking explain this build, boys. It's reactions all the way. I can explain one... I can explain this one. I'll explain this one, okay? But if you do what I'm about to say in your own game... and your opponent does not do exactly what this guy does, it's fucking pointless. This build only makes sense to somebody who plays exactly the way this guy played. So that's why it's hard to explain. Like, this is the only build I do that is like this. My ZvP is fucking ridiculously reactionary. My ZvT and my ZvZ is a bit more mainstream, but my ZvP is so fucking reactionary. I'm like, I literally would classify myself as a StarCraft 2 player as in terms of my strengths, it's a ZvP specialist. I feel like my best matchup is ZvP because I know a fucking ridiculous amount in this matchup because I've gone through this process of like what I've done. Like, for instance, like this game. So, check this out. I'm happy you learned. GG, that was me. What? You've lost to me doing this build before. I'm happy you learned it. Wait, what? Okay, I'm not even going to acknowledge that. Don't fucking poke the bear, okay? Are you fucking happy I learned how to deal with your build? What? Alright, so. Here we go. Check this out. This is the mind of ViBE, okay? The mind of ViBE. I'll break the build down and I'll explain it. I am going for a 3-base opener, gasless. 3 hatch rate gasless. He blocked my natural with the probe, so I just took my third and I took my my natural as now my third base. So I just reversed the third and the natural because he was blocking the natural, which is totally fine. It's a little hiccup in the build, but it is what it is. If he gets to probe down there, it either means that I was late with my drone or he was really fucking early with the probe. One or the other is how it goes. So it is what it is. I managed to, I make do with what we got. I just take my third as my natural. Going from here, I am just in the phase right now of making drones. This always is the case. I scout his base and I go like this. Okay, very fucking interesting. We have a gateway that is not done yet. This is very weird. Why is there a gateway that is still under construction? Is this a 2-gate opener with a core? Like, what the fuck is this? And then I see this.
Oh, yeah.
A second gateway. And I'm like, oh, okay. Super late gateway. And I confirm, obviously I keep going to confirm, but now 2 gateways, no core, and the first gateway wasn't even done when my Overlord got here. That's a super obvious Nexus first sign. Scout further in. NC. A Nexus, that's finishing the same time as my fucking hatchery. That's a Nexus first. And I make a core, and then obviously he makes a core, because this is guaranteed Nexus first. This is Nexus, gate, gate. Then he makes a core, and this is, this is a Protoss saying 2 things. Number 1, Mark King, thank you very much for the 19-month sub. He's actually saying 3 things. The first thing he says is, Mark King, thank you for the 19-month resub. I appreciate that, Prime. Fucking boss. Thank you very much, man. Welcome back. The second thing he says is, I'm going to be greedy. What are you going to do about it? And the third thing he says is, I'm never going to fucking attack you. So I'm going to take number 2 and number 3 and go, oh, you're going to be greedy and you're not going to attack me. I'm going to be fucking greedy and I'm not going to attack you. How's that sound? Can try and keep up with my larva injects. So as a response to this, if I'm like, this fucking guy is not actually, he doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have like a knife. He doesn't have a sword. He doesn't have an axe. He doesn't have anything threatening. He's got a fucking wet noodle over there that's just like,
Oh, yeah.
why do I gotta be afraid of that? I don't give a shit. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna double inject my hatcheries because I don't need to make creep. Creep is for Zergs who are feeling defensive. I don't feel defensive at all. I don't need to feel defensive at all. This is fucking wet noodle status right here. No aggression. Thank you very much for the sub, Oliden. Much love. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Welcome back for the 6. So now I see, okay, this Protoss player is 100% greed mode. So I go 100% 0 Zergling, 0 creep tumor, all inject, all larva, all drones. Look at the fucking worker count. Just so you guys know, for a standard game of ZvP, a Protoss is supposed to have the lead against Zerg until about 34 workers, okay? 34 workers is when a Zerg player, ideally, should be able to pass the Protoss in a standard game. And then, furthermore, up until 3 base, full saturation, a Zerg player should be able to maintain about anywhere in between a 5 to a 10 worker lead, probably more around 10, until 60 plus workers. So the Protoss will always be trailing by in the realm of 5 to 10. 5 when you're still in the kind of like the 30s to early 40s. 10 when you're in the upper 40s to like mid 50s. Does that make sense? But a Protoss player is supposed to maintain like a less than 10 deficit of probes, of workers. A 10 worker lead is a lot though. Yeah, no it is. But that's what Zerg is capable of. You're totally capable of that as Zerg. But a Protoss should be able to keep up with you substantially, like to a degree. It's not like the Protoss should be, you don't just pass the Protoss at 34 and the Protoss is at 37 and you're at 55. Like it's not going to be bigger than that. It's not the Protoss. If the Protoss was that bad, it would mean he's all-inning you and he's just not making workers anymore. So that defeats the purpose. But if you're both macroing, the Protoss is going to make workers at a little bit less of a pace than you're going to make drones, and you should be able to, as a Protoss player, to if it's like if the Zerg's at 43 drones, you should be probably at like 38 probes. If the Zerg's at 49 drones, you should probably be at like 42 probes. If the Zerg's at 55 drones, you should probably be at 47 probes. Like you should be in the realm of 5 to 10. As you get closer to 60, it gets closer to 10. As you're down in like the 40s, it's closer to 5. Difference. Now, again, both our build, his build is very low scout greed. Like, he's got the initial probe, but this is how Protoss goes. It's easier to scout with Zerg because I have overlords. He scouts my base and goes, what the fuck you doing? Yo, ViBE, what are you doing? 3 base gasless? You greedy motherfucker. You greedy bitch. And I go, oh, Nexus first? You greedy motherfucker. So we both know, oh, you greed versus greed, huh? We both have dollar signs in our eyes. But his probe will have to leave, and my overlord is staying a bit longer to see more of what's going on. So, going from here, look at the worker count. Again, 34 is when it's standard, a standard game. The Zerg should pass the Protoss. 34. And 5 to 10 difference going up to 60. That's standard. Now queens pop out, eject. I kill the probe, eject. Inject. Both injected. I don't give a shit about attacks right now. So, around 34.
Yeah.
See this? Looks like a standard game, right? Yo, thank you very much, Sabermax. Thank you so much for the prime. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My man. My fucking man. Thank you very much, dude. So 34 versus 34, this is standard, and you want to know why this is standard? Because we're both doing standard things. Like up to this point, it's been quote unquote standard because nothing is really, the build has not kicked in yet, essentially. It hasn't kicked in yet. But there's not going to be a 5 to 10 worker difference going up to 60. It's not going to be that way because I am fucking turning on that like gas pedal greed as well. And this is when Zerg greed kicks into effect. So 34 is when the Zerg starts passing the Protoss. And get ready. Here comes this the drone explosions. So as you can see, we already have a 7 worker lead at mid 40s, which is, I would say it's almost standard, but it's already getting pretty good because you should have a 7 worker lead at like 50, roughly about 50, maybe like 52 should be like a 7 drone lead for Zerg, not 45. 45 should be like a 6 or a 5 worker lead. And I know 7 is like 1 more than 6 and it's 2 more than 5. You're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but every worker is a big deal. The less you have, the more each worker represents a bigger chunk of your economy. And it's going up pretty fucking fast. Now, he catches up with I make some more buildings. I'm cranking out gas like crazy. Here comes more.
Swarm forces under attack.
And, he's still doing it. Like, see, this looks more standard again, right? It looks more standard. It looks more standard. But again, all we're doing is making drones. We are not making fucking units. And there you go. Look at that chunk. 10 right there. It just explodes over and over and over with Zerg. Now, my Overlord died as well. And my Overlord died to a Sentry and a Stalker. I don't give a fuck about a Sentry and a Stalker. A Sentry makes me think he went Robo. Because who the fuck makes a Sentry and goes for like a Sentry early and makes a Stargate? Or who goes for a Sentry early and makes a Council? You don't really, like, lower level, sure, I understand. Like, if you're also not playing against a Zerg, I understand. It makes sense when you play against Terran and Protoss. But if you play against a Zerg, you should not go for a Sentry early if you're opening up for a Stargate, like, really early, because unless you fully 100% confirmed, oh, I'm being all in right now, and Force Fields would definitely help here. It's the only time it would make sense. Because otherwise, all you do if you make a Sentry is you slow down your Council pressure, and you slow down your Stargate pressure because the Sentry is fucking expensive on gas. So if you slow down your pressure with Stargate or your pressure with Robo, or sorry, your pressure with Stargate or your pressure with Council, it makes no fucking sense. So you won't want to go Sentry with that. So what a Sentry means is, pressure-wise, it pairs well with a Robo, or it's defensive. It's either defensive or it goes well with a Robo for pressure-wise, like Immortal Sentry all-ins and shit like that. So now that I see, oh, fucking Sentry, I can make drones again. I don't give a shit because I am not afraid. I guarantee it's a Robo because I am not afraid of some Adept pressure because I've seen a Stalker and a Sentry, which is 2 units out of the gateway that does not make Adepts. So Adepts are not in the equation right now. I don't give a shit about an Adept attack because it's most likely not coming. So what is to stop me from making drones? Fucking nothing. So here's another reaction of going 11 drones. Let's go for it again. I already have a 10 drone lead, and I'm making fucking 11 more with my next inject. I don't give a shit about any pressure the Protoss could do right now. These are reactions that will not apply to every game. It applies to a super greedy defensive Protoss, which is what he was. And now look at the worker count. I have a fucking 19 worker lead already. This is not close anymore. This is a moment when Zerg is like, holy fuck, Zerg has been greedy. And if Protoss, as a Protoss player, if you see that economy against you and you're like, Jesus Christ, this does not feel good. Normally Protoss is want to kind of throttle the Zerg's economy a bit more than this, because if they don't and Zerg gets away with this, it's scary for Protoss. It's super scary, because then all this means is if you let the Zerg go power mode on drones and you just, and then the Zerg now goes into army phase, all that means is you're probably going to be on defense all game unless you have the most magical fucking base defense of your life. And you do super cost-efficient defense trades, which then alleviates your defense a little bit to now allow you to counter pressure somewhat with like maybe a Prism or a Stargate or whatever. Proxy warp-ins. But in general, if you don't have the best defense of your life in terms of whatever, it means that you're going to be on defense all game. That's all it means. So now as a Zerg, it makes me feel even more in control of the game because I get to just literally keep you on defense until you die. So going further, now I go into power fucking mode. I go into powering of roach mode here. So now watch the supply. The supply is not going to be close at all. The supply is going to ramp up for Zerg like ridiculously fast. I'm going to have about probably a 60, maybe a 70 supply lead when I attack the Protoss. I already have a 30. And I just started making roaches. So we got overlords coming in a second here. We're waiting on those to pop, and we're gonna make more roaches. Here we go. This is scary for Protoss. And now that also the fact that I've seen an observer, the fact that I was confirming it was a robo. I haven't even seen the robo, but I know it's a robo. It makes sense that it's a robo. All the windows of opportunity have kind of closed anyways for a council or a Stargate. So behind this, I make a Spire, because what can a Protoss do if they open weaker economy defensive robo? And I go for keeping them on defense and expanding on top of that, and then I switch from mass roaches into mass mutiling. Like, what can a Protoss do there? They're not much. It's really hard for the Protoss to maintain not only dying to a maxed out roach army, but also switching into anti-muta really fast right after. It's super hard for Protoss to deal with that. You have to, again, you have to have the best defense of your life essentially and lose nothing to be able to handle that. So again, this is another reaction to how his tech is gone, the game is gone, my greed has not been stopped, so I go, yeah, no, Spire would be a good choice here. Look at the fucking supply, dude. Like, this supply is ridiculous right now.
Evolution.
And again, this only would work against a hyper greedy Protoss. So if you try to do this against a Protoss who opens up aggressive Stargate, aggressive Council, just straight up adept aggression with nothing behind it, like 2 adepts, this would not look like this. This would not look like this at all, because this only worked because he did 0 pressure. Fucking 0. And I confirmed it multiple times with an Overlord Scout and also not only my Overlord Scout scouting what his units he made, but also what order of his buildings were. This was the least threatening Protoss of all time in terms of like what I should expect. This is the greediest form of what a Protoss could be, and I almost have 100 supply. I almost doubled the supply of Protoss here. This is so hard for Protoss to defend this now, and this is what I'm talking about. If you don't control a Zerg's economy, this is what happens. I got to 67, even though it's only a 6 worker lead right now. I was at 67 workers at like 5 minutes, or like 4.5 minutes. I've been maxed on or at this worker count for the last 2 fucking minutes here. So I've been just cranking roaches for the last 2 minutes. This is why I have 80 supply lead. And now behind, we'll watch that super sexy disruptor split again, because why not? And see, this is that moment where he chose to go for disruptors. So for him to get the best defense of his life, what he needs is to hit a good shot with the disruptors. That's what he needs. If he doesn't get that, he's fucked. essentially, with how the game's gone. If he does get it, it buys him time for me to have to make more roaches to then recapitalize on a big timing. But if I have to do that, if I lose like 20 roaches to a big disruptor shot, it means that he gets time as well to build more Protoss units, and it just wastes time in general. If the disruptor hit happened, it would be, I would probably have just switched into mutas faster and been like, okay, well, fuck it, my Spire is finishing right now. How about instead of continuing to go roaches against some guy who's going defensive ruptors in his base, how about I just go muta ling and just contain him into 3 bases? Either way, though, this ruptor split right here. Look at it, boys. Look at it. Look at it. He throws out a ruptor shot right now. Here it comes. And the ruptor shot's coming. If we just ran away and just backed up, we probably would we wouldn't have lost all, like the whole ruptor would not have had, it would not have had like 100% efficiency because it would have detonated too fast. But he probably would have snapped off about my outer 5 or 6 roaches because it does go a lot faster than roaches do. Like he probably would have like snapped off like a chunk like that, literally on the back of my army. I would guess about like a fair call would be like 6 roaches would have died to this. 6 roaches would still not save the Protoss here. I would say that right now. Our greed, 6 roaches represents 12 supply. So if I drop down 12 supply and I'm at fucking 169, I still have a 60 supply lead, which is scary as fuck for Protoss to deal with at this stage. And the reason why it's super scary is also because I just broke his wall. It's wide open now, and this is super hard to deal with. He still has force fields, but it's scary. This is super scary. This is like, holy shit, please don't kill me for Protoss. 6 roaches equals 12 supply or 18. It's 12 supply. A roach is 2 supply per. So I would still have a super strong situation going on here. What's the cooldown of a Nova? It's like 30 seconds. Or sorry, it's actually like 21 seconds. It's not super fast. 21 seconds is the Nova cooldown. Yeah, so anyways, we split roaches. We actually lose nothing. That was sexy. And then we go right back in and start fighting him again. We start focusing down his immortals. And then behind this, we have choices. If the fight's going well, if it's not going well, whatever we want to do, we could make more roaches. I could switch into mutiling. I could saturate my 4th base. I could, any one of those choices right now, it makes sense. And I could do it in any order as well, based on if it's going well. If the fight's going poorly, I should probably make drones and not throw my entire army away, because he doesn't know if I'm going to make drones or not. But if I don't throw everything away, I can still make him feel defensive while I greed it up. If I feel like the fight's going well and I don't want to end the game right now, and I want to guarantee I have a higher chance to win the game later, I could still make drones right now. Just in case I don't kill him, I could have a better economy to fall back on. If I feel like if I'm like, no, he's dead right now, I could switch into mutiling right now and just furthermore fuck his economy up. Or if I really wanted to as well, I could just go, you know what, fuck mutas, we can just flood roaches because I broke him and he's just going to die if I make roaches here. All the choices are up to you. It's a judgment call as to anything you want to do. But up to this point, before this fight even started, I had the sickest lead because we read the game early on. That's all it was. And again, this is not something that I can say that would work against every Protoss. It would only work against a Protoss player who opens up greedy premeditatedly and then follows up their initial greed with more greed, which is what he did, which is what I did. I opened up greedy as well, and I scouted greed, and I reacted with more greed. This was greed versus greed, reacted to more greed and more greed. This was like a greed off, essentially. We both scouted each other's greed initially, and which was premeditated, and reacted with more greed. But Zerg wins the greed battle. If a Zerg player knows how to greed, a Zerg will always win the greed battle against Protoss. There's no way around that. Zerg greed is imbalanced. If a Protoss or a Terran player does not punish Zerg greed is the most greedy of all 3 races. Nothing can compete with larva inject greed. Nothing can compete with that. It's insanely strong. If it's unhindered and like unstopped, or if it's unpunished, it's ridiculously strong. You get the point. And this was just, I know this is a question that was asked probably like an hour ago, and I'm sorry for like kind of like beating the fucking dead horse here, but this was just one version of Protoss. and how to play gasless against one version of Protoss. There are so many versions of what Protoss can do, and there are so many versions of what this build can do to react to it. So it's hard to explain it and go, oh yeah, this is just easy. This is what you do every game. No, I would never tell someone who played against an aggressive Protoss to play like this, because you know what your win rate would be again? Your win rate, if you played the way I just played this game, your win rate would be fucking 0% against an aggressive Protoss. You would never win, ever. You would die every time. That would never work against aggression. You basically have to understand when and where to switch gears with your build to like understand what the Protoss is doing and to what you should be doing as well. It's hard to explain. Unless I did every example. Like, it's not hard to explain a specific example, but it's hard to explain the theoretical just matchup where someone's like, how do you do gasless ViBE? Tell me. I'm like, okay. Do I want to give you good information like that, what I just went through, which is one specific thing, or do I want to give you bad information and just generalize all of it? And be like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, you know, go for gas at that time and you'll be fine. That's not good information because it's weak as fuck in so many ways. It's only good in one example. Because again, it's a reactionary build, and reactionary builds in StarCraft 2 are the hardest builds in the game. By far. That's a fact. Hope that makes sense. Hope you guys like that explanation.